So our second presentation is by Hanita van der Meulen, who's the Marketing Director at OCLC. You start manager, sorry.
Don't give me another title.
Sorry, marketing. Sorry, my apologies. Marketing manager at OCLC, based in the Netherlands. Last year, those of you who came to the conference last year know we finished with an excellent presentation from Christy Hills from Seattle, from OCLC, who presented the Geek the Library initiative to promote public libraries. And there were a lot of questions asked about how transferable that program was from a US setting to a European setting. And I think Hanita is about to tell us the answer. So yes. Over to yourself.
Okay. Can you just give me thank you. Well, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Hanita van der Meulen, Marketing Manager, OCLC. I'm slightly intimidated by the knowledge in this room because I'm a marketing manager who just started 3 months ago at OCLC, so it's a very steep learning curve, but very interesting. Most of the people at OCLC have a library background. I don't have a library background, but it makes it more interesting for me because I'm a heavy user of libraries. So I think it gives me another view on your line of business. Just a short introduction. Most of you know who OCLC is. OCLC is a non-profit membership organization. It's one of the largest library service providers, networked library service providers. And at the moment we have about 70,000 libraries in 170 countries connected in OCLC. OCLC is a company which is run by members. It's member-owned, member-driven. The members have a say in what we do, and people at OCLC are breathing libraries, I can say. As we said, we are a non-for-profit, so we reinvest in communities and libraries. Well, how do we do that? How do we reinvest? One of the items which is very near at the heart of OCLC is awareness for libraries, because there's still a huge job to be done in people going to libraries and the awareness of libraries. And because we are a non-for-profit, we reinvest in campaigns for library awareness. As Robin said, last year there was my colleague from the US was here and she presented the Geek the Library. I hope that most of you saw this presentation, so I'm just going to go back, a short flashback to see the results of this campaign, because we have some new results in, so that would be nice. The goal of this campaign was to improve long-term funding by educating the community about the role of the library. The return on investment could come in many forms and will be different in each country and in each community. The results in December 2012 were really enormous. There was a lot of rumor, there were a lot of press, there was a lot of response from the community, people who started rallying for their library. The libraries found it a brilliant campaign because the awareness was raised and everybody was very positive about it. Of course, that's very nice, but what did it mean for everybody? There were some libraries who got additional funding. There were libraries who were supposed to close and they didn't close. There were librarians who didn't get a raise for 5-6 years and got a raise. So various results were getting from these campaigns. And as of today, there are over 1,200 libraries participating now in this campaign. So that means I can say that it's very successful. This was the, let's say, the American campaign, I Geek Worms. And of course, how did we do that now in the Netherlands or in Germany or in France? How are we going to do that? I Geek Europe, bring a successful American campaign to Europe, as you said. How do we do that? The place of libraries in the community, USA versus Europe. We say Europe, but Europe, as we heard already, there's a lot of differences. So people are looking differently at their library, they're looking differently at their community. The community sense is different, so that's a challenge from a marketing perspective, because we can't say, okay, we're all the same in Europe and we all react the same. So the activities in libraries are different, of course, I don't have to explain that to this audience. And the consumer use of the media in the libraries is also slightly different. I said community sense. So yes, one Europe, but a different marketing approach, because we don't all do it the same way. So there's just started a pilot in Germany. It started, I think, the 17th of September, so it's really recently started. And in Germany they adapted the campaign slightly because they thought it should be a little bit more fun. So, which is, you can see from the pictures. The pilot libraries at the moment are in the Dutch area, as we say. So we have pilots in Germany, we have them in Switzerland, and we have in Austria. And as I said, because it's just started, I can't give you hard figures yet of what is happening as a result. But what we can say is that it raises a lot of awareness, and everybody is talking about it. So that's interesting. As you can see, some of the examples what we did in Germany. Of course, we didn't stray completely from the American campaign because it was so successful. It's just a slight adaptation in the way of making the images work. So what is happening? Just to give you some examples of what is happening, what people do with it. What is very important in this campaign is the staff of the library itself. As we heard also on this panel, is that it is very important for people who visit the library that they have a sort of interaction with the people who are there, and also an interaction with the librarians themselves, because that enhances the experience of going to a library. It's very important that staff gets into geeking, as we say, or in Germany they call it Bibliofreak, because they didn't adapt, the Germans didn't like to adapt the word geek, because after some research they said, no, freak is a better word in Germany. So this is one of the small libraries in Germany. What they did is the staff really, they put on the t-shirts, they made a whole corner of geeking. So what is the objective for this small library, because it's a small community, really to get the people in, to get to talk to them, to see what is the value of their library, and that it's in the heart of the community. I think by heart this library is in a community of 20,000 people, so I mean it's very important that they interact with the community members. So depending on the size of the library, we look at what they can do locally. So in this case, this is a very small library, so they do a lot of local stuff on festivals, on fairs, or things like that. Of course, in Germany they use Facebook, Twitter, interactive use of geeking. The thing is, because the pictures in it are not related right away to the library, people start talking about it. What is this? I geek, I don't know, I geek sport, I geek this, and everybody starts talking about it because it's not right away related to the library. And then when they find out through all kinds of local activities from the library that that it's about the library, they start getting into it, and they understand that it's necessary as a community to support your library. The PR effects in Germany were really huge. They have a lot of attention from the press, and I just called my colleague last night and I said, so what is happening? There are great interest for the project from other libraries in all 3 of the countries. Additional funding is on its way. Well, I can't say where it's coming from, but I know that they're talking about it, but they just started, so that's really good news. And we already decided that it's going to be prolonged at least until December, but of course it's also dependent on the additional funding which is underway. Then we have the Netherlands. We didn't start yet, so actually you get a sneak preview because the campaign is not running yet and all the materials are not ready yet. We looked with the big 4 libraries of the Netherlands, what can we do? They have a problem with the target group 20 to 34. The lowest membership is in this age group, which is interesting because we see that students go there, but they have, the 4 big libraries have this problem. And they worry because they say these are future decision makers, so we have to make them aware of the importance of the library. So the target in the Netherlands is change the image and the brand of a library because it's sort of a perception of it's old-fashioned and it's just books and what you're going to do there. Although we have a beautiful library in Amsterdam, so I don't know what the people are talking about, but still. We're going to start on the 14th of November. We're hoping to build a public awareness. The libraries who are cooperating with us are very, how can I say it, very enthusiastic and looking forward because they know that today's library is not just about lending books. It's about experience, it's about meeting other people, it's about the interaction with the librarians. And we just heard that even that it's about technology. We heard that in the panel as well. It's not one factor. It's not just being connected to the internet. We gave the Dutch look and feel. We made it actually like the American one, very sober style. The only thing we changed was the color red became orange because the Dutch are orange. Sort of. We have to do orange, and also all the public libraries have an orange logo, so that's also something. Of course, we need also additional funding, and we hope that the pilot is going to be very successful because we want to attract much more libraries. We know that it's going to be successful because other libraries are already saying that they want to participate, but we start with 4. And of course, we're going to use a website, social media, but what we said also, a key success factor is also the staff of the libraries. And we have already a first success because last week we got additional funding for 150,000 euros and we didn't even start yet. So I hope that this campaign could not only go to the Netherlands and Germany, but of course going to other countries as well. The launch for the Netherlands is on the 14th of November. We're going to do this on a National Information Specialist meeting. And we hope to launch the activities there. And then maybe next year I can give you an update on what is happening. But we are reinvesting always in libraries. So I have a question also as a sort of a roundup. What would you do in terms of reinvesting if you had the money and the marketing team at your disposal? Because Geek is actually also something which OCLC took as, this is something which we should do. But maybe there are other ideas there which we can help each other in. that's it.
Thank you, Hanita. It's fantastic to see that programme getting underway in Europe, and interesting to see how individual countries tweak it and adjust it with language and colour.
Yeah.
Really interesting. Any questions for Hanita before we move on to our next presentation?
Thanks, that was really interesting to hear. And I just have a question that would really more reinforcing what you have just said. You said you definitely see more countries joining in the future. And my question is probably more about tactics.
Yeah.
So if I bet there are more people that would be interested to know, so what would it mean, joining? What kind of packages do you offer to smaller libraries or bigger libraries? What kind of funding do you think? Maybe that's too specific, but just so we have a better idea, what would that mean to Lithuanian or Latvian libraries to join?
Yeah.
Either as a community or as just one library at a time. So just a bit more of an insight.
Well, we were lucky also to get in the US to get Bill and Melinda Gates funding to start this big campaign. Otherwise, so everybody research funding, we fund a little bit ourselves, and because we really invest, and we got funding from Bill and Melinda Gates. So that was interesting. But the thing is, it's always easier if you combine all forces, if it's public libraries, OCLC, other partners, because OCLC is a strong partner also in other negotiations with partners. So it's more or less also what can we do all together. I mean, in the example, for example, which is the nearest to me, the Dutch libraries are very strong advocates for this campaign, and they're working really hard to make it work. So it's not that we just give you a bag of money and a bag of tricks and say, because that's not what we can do. It's something, we want to help libraries, but it's not that we can, this is a campaign which can be applied in any country, but it's something that libraries have to take an initiative also to find funding as well, because we can't fund it for all the countries. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, to some extent.
Yeah,
I guess as much as possible.
I know.
So if there are interested parties at libraries in different countries, they should contact you for advice at least, and
yes.
you could probably get in touch that way.
Yeah.
Thank you.